But the first time I saw Mark, I knew already that he would become a brother
Wow. Of course.
because I saw some halo.
Ay, nako!
A halo. And I'm very good at recognizing who would become brothers.
And actually, speaking of your life in the faith, we also have another question, care of Miggy.
Thank you, Cora. So now that we've got an idea of like your past in terms of religion, the next question is: do you still experience a faith crisis today, or like in recent times now that you're Lasallian brothers? And if so, how do you overcome it? And of course, if you're willing to share, are there any secrets on how to get in deeper with the Lord?
Oh, Mark.
ah, that's a good one. I'm just picking up from what Cora mentioned regarding blossoming and the friendship, because I think there's no human relationship or no human friendship wherein there's no argument, there's no tampuhan. And I
Yeah.
think that applies also with my relationship with God. Even though I can't see Him, and people might think that I'm a religious, I'm closer to God, but I'm also a human being and I have my limitations as well. And just recently, I professed my final vows because this is my analogy when I explain people what's temporary vows, what's final vows. It's like before, 9 years before, I'm a contractual worker, parang guys. So every year nagre-renew ako. Every year nag-apply ako. Oy, tanggapin niyo ako, parang guys. So contractual worker ako.
Mhm.
But I'm receiving all the benefits of a Salle Brother until just last year, May 29, 2021. That was when I professed my final vows, and that was when I became a permanent brother already. But before that, I was experiencing a crisis because a lot of transition was going on. There's the pandemic going on, and then I had to leave Philippines to move to Singapore, and then here my assignment was off beat. Parang wala siya sa tempo because the school starts in January, but then I moved in. I flew. I, Bayan, Jonogs. So I flew in February 22, and then I have to quarantine. Ligoy to si Bray. So, ganyan yung nangyari. So I had to have quarantine. And then after quarantine, sabak na kagad. Pasok na ako ng school. Wala man lang welcome. Wala man lang ganun ceremony. So that's happening. I have to adjust to the new country. I have to adjust to the new school environment because it's definitely different from what I'm used to in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And then it's an international school. In the Philippines, you just have Filipinos. But here, you have people from all over the world. And then I'm adjusting also to the new brothers I'm living with. And then I'm doing my thesis writing. And then I have to prepare my final vows preparation. So I wasn't in the best relationship with God during that time. I was questioning. In fact, I was wondering whether I'm making the right decision of professing final vows already, or it's not because whether I'm worthy or not, or it's more of, is this the right time? Because there were a lot of cancellations already, and then a lot of preparations were being changed last minute because of the pandemic, and then restrictions are changing, and it's very fluid here in Singapore as well. So at the back of my mind, ang dami nangyayari. Lord, ito ba talaga yung gusto mong mangyari sa akin? But then, I just kept on praying. This might sound cliche, but really that's it. It's really more of continuing to hold on, even though sometimes you feel like there's no response from His end. But it's the idea of not giving up and not letting go also. So, in terms of secret, siguro yun lang na don't give up. There are times na it's hard to pray, but in those times that it's hard to pray, just keep on praying still. Even though I feel like I'm not getting the response that I want, or more so, I'm not getting any response at all. But then that's the invitation for me to continue praying, even though there's lots of reason for me to let go. And even during the profession of vows, when I was giving my response, I was telling that it's really uncertain, but then at the end of the day, all of my responses are uncertain and they're fluctuating, but it's only the faithfulness of God that remains in me as well.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. No, when there are failures in life and no answers are being given, why am I failing? Why are things not responding, aligning to my dreams? Then you start asking the question, God, are you there? And that's when faith becomes a question, and you sort of experience dryness. And I think as a human being, it's completely normal. And that process of losing faith when something is not working in our life is normal. To to paraphrase what they say always, no, drying or the dryness in faith is actually a spiritual crisis that is more of a journey towards God. So when you are feeling that dryness, when you are questioning your faith, actually it's an invitation to be closer to God. I don't know if you've heard about what is that thing about Saint John the Cross? He's talking about the a dark night of the soul. That's my favorite. No, when
Mm-hmm.
I have crisis in faith, I always go back to that experience, that period, that moment in my life where I say, "This is a dark night of my soul," and I keep on, mumbling that phrase because in the long run, we begin to understand that if there are failures in life, if there are questions in life, if there are dryness in your spirituality, all of those things are just happenings, quote unquote, are just happenings, and they form part of your experience. No, uh, uh, I always look at myself that when spiritual crises happen, I'm looking at myself as somebody or an entity who is actually drifting away from my authentic self. When I'm not anymore doing what God wants me to do, I'm not living the life that He wants me to do. That's when I experience spiritual crisis, you know. And that's a serious thing. But if you ask me how do I overcome that, the most practical way is to very basic lang. Be positive, and as much as possible, do not dwell on bad things that promotes, more crisis in faith, because surely you will be drowned in those negative things if you dwell in them. And you were asking also about the secret. There are no secrets. For me, there are no secrets. Like any relationship, if you want to grow deeper with the person you love, you must be faithful. Miggy, be faithful, Miggy. Okay? Always be faithful. Okay? When you want to deepen your relationship with God, the same thing. You need to move beyond simply knowing God or simply knowing her, Miggy. No? Move beyond that and seek personal encounters. That's the most important thing. You have to seek personal encounter. If you believe in a God, aspire for that. And while you take the process of knowing the person and encountering the person, encountering God, as I said, you have to be faithful in the ongoing conversation. And you have to talk. You have to communicate. You don't leave God behind, especially when you feel that you have already His attention. So you need to respond by listening more and saying or demanding less. Okay? Listening more but demanding less. His words, trust me, will be your lamp as you journey in life.
Thank you so much, Brother Ray and Brother Mark. Very insightful words.
But are we really as different as we think? So I think we need to appreciate our differences and diversity while honoring our common need for happiness as a Christian, or as we aspire for the common need for certain God in our life, And life would be boring if we all look the same, if we think the same, if we behave the same and in the exact manner.